Shevchenko. Okay, right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the War Room. This one is for the UFC 266 co-main event for the flyweight title. Valentina Shevchenko, the Bullet, taking on Lauren Murphy. Okay, so this is the point where you in your head go, how are you going to convince us that Lauren Murphy can win this fight? And I'm not going to try, because it's not a very winnable fight for her, let's be honest. But, you know, if you're Lauren Murphy coming into this, you believe you're going to win. And if I look back at her fights, I've got to try and figure out how she thinks she can win. It's a very, very tough fight. We know this. Valentina Shevchenko, every time she gets out there, she gets better. And the last time she was too much for her opponent. So the next time around, I mean, what do we expect? I mean, she's finding her groove. She's making it easier each time. You know, she ragdolled Jessica Andrade, who most people can't deal with. She's a power pack. So Shevchenko comes out and body locks her and slams her on the floor 7 times. I think she broke the record for takedowns in a flyweight fight. And then, you know, goes back to the crucifix position, same way she stopped Chukagian. I mean, that's just a terrifying individual. She's clinical, she's direct, she doesn't really allow you into the fight. So if you're Lauren Murphy, you go, well, the one thing I can't do is hang on the outside and play the counter kickboxing game. Another thing that doesn't work in Lauren Murphy's favor is the fact that she's an orthodox fighter, and Shevchenko will be the first southpaw that she's faced in the UFC. And immediately that changes the striking range. And if you're Valentina Shevchenko, you've fought lots of orthodox fighters, and you've knocked a couple out, one of them with a head kick, a brutal head kick. So if you're Lauren Murphy, first of all, you need to deal with the fact that you're dealing with a southpaw. You need to deal with the fact that you're fighting probably the best southpaw in the division, if not, you know, on the roster in the UFC. She's very slick. She's very dangerous from the outside. So Lauren Murphy needs to close that distance pretty quickly and stay inside, I would say. Get her up against the fence. Make it as ugly and as brutal and as brawling as possible. You know, Murphy's predominantly a boxer. She's going to be comfortable on the ground. I think she's a brown belt under John Crouch. So she's going to be comfortable on the ground. But again, how does that comfort level change against Valentina Shevchenko compared to everybody else in the division? You know, is her brown belt enough? And is her physical strength and conditioning enough to be able to get out of bad positions against Shevchenko and reverse it and get on top and hold her there? Because that, again, is going to be a very difficult thing to do. I mean, you know, in the striking range, if she's closing Shevchenko down and she's able to do it behind a good defense, if she's able to not get set up, you know, hammer to the body, open the head kick up and get caught with something like that, and you know, limit Shevchenko to the boxing range, I do think she's probably got, you know, enough power to hurt her, to clip her, and to, you know, maybe rock her. But it's one of those fights that you just think to yourself, I mean, it's probably her only shot. I mean, I think she's 38. It's probably her last shot. And that could be a very daunting thing as well. Stepping in there against the best fighter of her division ever. And knowing that you've got to put it on her in the first 2 rounds, otherwise she's going to run away with it. I mean, you know, Lauren Murphy, although she's on a good win streak, what is it, a 5-fight win streak? Although she's on a good win streak, she still looked a bit beaten up in that last round against Calderwood in that most recent fight. That was a 3-round split decision. And you've got to think, if you take that Lauren Murphy at the end of that 3rd round against Calderwood, and you put her at the beginning of the 4th round against Valentina Shevchenko, what do you expect to happen in the 4th and 5th? It only goes downhill, I think. So those first 2 rounds are crucial. She's got to close her down. She's got to beat her up. She's got to catch her with elbows. She's got to hit her to the body as much as she can, knees and body shots, and make it a brawl. Fight for 10 minutes. I mean, there's different ways of playing this psychologically. If I was in her corner, I'd say to her, look, let's be realistic. 10 minutes, foot on the gas. Take it to her. Because even if it goes past the 10 minutes, you need to put enough of a dent in Valentina Shevchenko to make it worthwhile in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. You don't want her fresh going into those championship rounds. You don't want her ahead on the scorecards because you're not going to get it back. I think the smart thing for her to do is to close her down, make it ugly, use her elbows, good head position, knees, and beat her up, and don't allow her to either ground the fight or fight at distance, because they're both winning strategies for Shevchenko. She's got good submissions. I think she would have to hurt Shevchenko though in order to put her in a situation where she could submit her. I think she might be competitive on the floor, but I just, from what I've seen with Shevchenko, I think she's cut all the fat out of her game. I don't think she plays jiu-jitsu anymore. I think she does grappling for MMA, and I think she puts people in really uncomfortable, awkward positions and beats them up. We're seeing the same thing over in One Championship with the women's atomweight Grand Prix. A lot of top body control. Obviously, in One Championship, there's knees to the head on the ground as well, so that does change the dynamic. But it's interesting that Valentina Shevchenko is holding the throne with Crucifix, and that won 2 of the 4 fights in the recent quarterfinals in one. So maybe we're learning something here that's being exposed to us. Valentina Shevchenko is dangerous if she gets into that position. Lauren Murphy's got to work. She's got to work. We're all thinking the same thing. Good luck to her. It's not very often you get to fight a fighter that's Valentina Shevchenko's level, and you've got to do everything you can to give your best shot, because she's going to be a massive underdog. I'm excited for her, but I'm expecting Shevchenko to win. Enjoy the fights. I'll see you next time.